Hello, it's Jay here again and welcome to another tutorial. So in this lesson we're actually going to begin updating our flashlight script, and it is going to be quite heavily changed. However, we need to do one thing in the inventory script first, and I'm sure many of you have already noticed my error. And it's to do with this line of code here for the use button for the battery. I did actually notice this myself literally straight after recording. I did think about re-recording the video or maybe doing some editing, but I thought no, I'm going to leave it in because it's only one small mistake. And I think it's also good because I've been coding for, let's just say, longer than I care to remember, and even the best of us that's been writing code for a very long time can make stupid errors. Especially, I recorded the last video after quite a busy few days and I was very tired. So, you know, everybody makes mistakes and you never grow out of that with coding. You will always make that odd little blunder. So I thought it would be good to leave it in so you guys can see that I'm not infallible regarding this matter either. But anyway, what we want to do is copy the add battery to flashlight, naming convention, the name of the function, and where we say battery to inventory here for the use, obviously when we're using it, a battery, we should be adding it to the flashlight. So let's put that in and let's save that off. And if we just close the inventory, let's just downsize mono develop, that error, as you can see, has disappeared. That red error has gone. Don't worry about these. These are just because of the assets that I am using in my project since the update, but they seem to have caused no real issues so far. I will fix them when I have time. Time's been getting away from me just recently. I don't seem to have enough of it, and all the others are just because we are not using certain variables, which we will be later, so they will automatically be fixed. But at least that's our red error gone. And now on to the flashlight. So heavy changes. We may not get to complete the script in this video. In fact, I'm almost sure of it. It may take 2 or 3 videos, but we'll see how we go. But I thought I would let you know because obviously, again, the script is not going to work, and as such your project is not going to work until we've made all the changes. So if you want to wait till all the update videos are out for the flashlight before following on with this tutorial, I would not blame you for doing that. So with that said, let's continue on and let's actually get this updated. So let's have a look here. We will keep the reference to the light, we'll tidy up, and we may even, in fact, these comments probably aren't the best, so let's make them more detailed. So we'll change that to defines naming convention for our flashlight. In fact, I'll say, so that's not entirely accurate, we'll say light component. So let's have a look. We need to keep the audio clip for the switch. So well, let's say we'll get rid of that. We'll say creates slot in inspector to assign an audio clip for the flashlight script. That's fine. And we'll get rid of the battery pickup line here, because that's actually going to be in the pickup script. That's what I am planning to do for now. So we'll actually need, while we're here, I'll put it in between And this can be of type private, and it's going to be of type audio source. We'll say underscore flashlight audio. Let's close the line off. We'll say defines naming convention for the flashlight audio component. Okay, let's move on now. We'll actually get rid of these for now. No, in fact, let's leave these. Let's have a look. Yes, we'll leave them as static. And I'm actually just going to cut them. I'm actually probably going to put them down at the bottom here. I'm more concerned with adjusting these values than actually these two. So let's move them down to the bottom. So low power, these can all remain the same. Defines our low power intensity, spot angle and range. High power, yep, these can all remain the same. Let's have a look. Yeah, I think these can all remain the same as they are. So let's come to the void start. So, and in fact, no, let's create some more variables. We're going to need to create them. We might as well create them now while we're up at the top of the script. So let's say public int underscore battery power modifier, and I'm going to make mine equal to 10. We'll close the line off, into the comments, and we'll just say defines battery power, and we'll put modifier for flashlight flash. In fact, I'll not put flash, I'll put flicker. So let's get that in place, because I don't believe I defined it in the original script, which I didn't. So let's move on. We'll come here, we'll say private, and this can be of type float, underscore, and we want battery bar length. Let's close that line off, into the comments, defines our battery bar length. In fact, I'll not put length, I'll say power defines a battery bar. Let's have a look. Length, we'll put length for the GUI. And here, let's create the last new variable, so private, and we'll make up a naming convention of flashlight, and we'll say state. And I'm sure you've guessed what's going to be coming. Yes, another switch block to further optimize this script. So let's close the line off. As you can see, I've gave it a naming convention of underscore flashlight state with the lowercase f, as I normally do, and let's put in defines naming convention for our flashlight state. And let's create that enum to get rid of that error. So we'll say flashlight state, and that should be, sorry, private enum flashlight state. Let's open and close those brackets. So with that now created, let's create some states. So we'll say flash light off, comma, and in fact let's put equals 0, comma. And yeah, we'll say flashlight on low equals 1 with the comma as well. Flashlight on high, that's going to be equal to 2, comma, and then flashlight flashing. And we'll just make that equal to 3, and as normal, no comma on the last state. So with that said, let's just save that off there for a moment, and we'll come to the void start. So before we grab the light component, I'm actually just going to quickly grab the audio. So we'll say flashlight underscore flashlight audio is going to be equal to get component. We'll open and close brackets. Inside, it's going to be of type audio source. Let's come to the end, open and close brackets. We'll close the line off and into the comments. And I'll use the proper naming convention we created, flashlight audio. And we'll say is equal, in fact, we'll just say equals the audio source. So I was asked about this in a previous video, actually quite a while back now, is why I didn't do this before. And because now we don't need to type this for any audio, we can just use this variable. And I just said it's basically because it's a beginner course, I wanted repetition so people can get used to be able to grab the audio. But because this is probably the last time we'll come back to this script, these series of updates, let's get this piece of optimization, which I've always promised we'll do optimization at the end of the series. But why not get it in now for the flashlight? And if you want to then update your scripts before I get round to doing the videos, please feel free. I always just recommend backing up your scripts, creating a copy somewhere else on your hard drive. That way, if you do make a mistake, you still have the original as you update and alter the scripts yourself. So, with that said, let's have a look. I'm not happy with that comment, so let's just say underscore flashlight. We'll say equals the light component. And in fact, we'll move that one up. So let's change this. We'll say disable flashlight on startup. And let's have a look. Current battery power equals maximum. I'll just change that to a capital. That can be left as is. I'll leave it there. We will have some more code for the void start later. Let's have a look. So we'll come to the add battery function. We can get rid of this if block here, where we say if pickup battery sound does not equal null. We'll get rid of all that if block. So this is how your script should now look. And in fact, we can get rid of these brackets as well. So let's save that off there. Let's see if we have any errors so far. So no red errors, so that's good. We've not altered the script enough to actually cause any issues as of yet. So let's go ahead and we're going to do one more thing, I think, in this lesson. And I'm going to come here after the void update, and we will be emptying the code out of this function. this code is going to be moved, but we'll do that later. The first thing we need to do is create private, and I'm sure you've guessed with me creating an enum block, we're going to say iEnumerator, and we'll give it a naming convention of flashlight, and we'll just say manager. We'll open and close brackets, we'll open and close again. Let's come inside those brackets. So as we've done many times now, we'll say while open and close brackets true. Inside the brackets we'll open and close again. We want to, if we come inside, we want to say switch, and what we want to switch is the flashlight state. So underscore flashlight state. Let's come to the end, we'll open and close brackets once more, and then we'll create the cases. So case, and we're going to say flashlight state flashlight off. As always, a full colon, so a semicolon, not the half colon we normally use. But we can revert back to the one we would normally use, and we do so in this case. We'll say flashlight off, open and close brackets, we'll close the line off as normal, and the same when we say break, we'll close the line off as normal. So as you can see, we've got a red error because we do not have that function created, but we'll rectify that now. And this can go directly below this new switch block we're creating. We'll copy that naming convention, so private, and should be of type void because it does not return a value. We'll paste that in, we'll open and close brackets, we'll open and close again, and there you go. That error has now disappeared. So let's copy that case block, and we'll need to paste it in 4 times. So flashlight on low for the next one. Let's just copy that naming convention, we'll paste it in there as well. So let's have a look, we'll need to create that. Let's just copy this void, the one we've just created, and again we'll copy the new naming convention of flashlight on low into that void there. Let's come to this one, flashlight on high. We'll paste that in, and in fact let's just change this last one as well, and then we'll create both of them together. So flashlight flashing for the last case, we'll paste that in. Again, we're going to get 2 red errors. I'll copy both these voids, we'll paste them in, and we'll just swap out the naming conventions, and we'll also change this one here. So with that said, all the red errors are gone. Let's save that off. We'll just double check we've got no further red errors, which we have not, so that's very good. And in fact, there is one last thing we can actually do in the void start. So I think I will put mine here, and we're just going to say start core routine. I'm sure you've all guessed what's coming because we've done this many times. And we're just going to copy and paste that naming convention of flashlight manager into start core routine, so we can actually start this new block when the game begins. Let's get that into the comments. So we'll say start, and I'll just paste that naming convention in again, start flashlight manager on startup. That will do very nicely. And we're also going to say underscore flashlight state. So our flashlight state is going to be equal to flashlight, the name of the script, dot, and then the flashlight state, dot, and then the state we want, which we're going to start with the flashlight off. Let's close the line off, into the comments. We'll say start. In fact, we'll just say set flashlight state. And we'll say to flashlight off on startup. And as you can tell, I'll have to tidy up my comments, which I'll do mainly off camera. So I'll just save that off there. I might leave those as they are. I might move them up. I've not decided yet. So as you can probably guess, we're going to be changing a lot of this code, but a lot of it is going to be moved from the void update and from this previous void now into these states, along with a lot of changes and some new code and such like. This will make your flashlight function better, especially when it actually begins flashing. You will notice an improvement, and we'll go over that when we come to fill out that void, and the script will be far more optimized. I didn't do this originally with the flashlight script because my original plans when starting this series was to have a much more simpler beginner's tutorial on how to create a horror game. But the response I've gotten to this series has been really fantastic, and as such, I've included new features that's been requested, which I'm very happy to do. In fact, it's always great to actually receive feedback on what people want, because to me it says that people like the series and that they're engaged with it. So I'm very happy to, if any of you have any further requests. I do have a hell of a lot more functions and sort of features to add to this game, so there's a lot planned still, even though we are getting now to around, I think, what is it, less than 150. So yeah, we've still got a long way to go, and but yes, I thought this would be a good time to come back, and some of these scripts, like the flashlight that was created when I did intend this to be a more simplified series, to come back and really upgrade the script and make it a lot better. Yes, it may not be quite as simple as it once was and quite as easy to understand, but I still think it will be easy enough that people will still understand how the script works, and I think people will be absolutely fine with it. So with that said, I'm afraid I need to take a little break from speaking at the moment. I could do with getting a drink, so I think we'll leave it here for this video. And as always, I hope you enjoyed it. We will pick it up in the next lesson, and I hope to see you then. And as always, until next time, bye for now.